The Schnauzer lunged at the toddler, teeth bared, snarling like an animal possessed. When Sarah pulled her son away from Max, her hands shaking with fear and disbelief, she couldn't understand what had turned her gentle family dog into something she no longer recognized. For 3 years, Max had been nothing but patient and loving with little Oliver. One afternoon, everything changed. Sarah watched in horror as her once trusted companion tried to knock food from her baby's hands, barking with an aggression that made her blood run cold. What she discovered was so shocking it changed how she understood the invisible bond between animals and the children they protect. Before watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another heart-gripping story like this one. Sarah had always believed she knew her dog. Max, a salt and pepper schnauzer with intelligent eyes and a gentle disposition, had been part of her life for 5 years. He'd slept at the foot of her bed through her pregnancy, sat patiently beside Oliver's crib during those first sleepless months, and accepted sticky toddler hands with the grace of a saint. The bond between dog and child had been something Sarah photographed constantly, posted proudly, treasured deeply, until the bananas. It started on a Tuesday morning. Oliver, now 2 years old and increasingly independent, had climbed into his booster seat for breakfast. Sarah sliced half a banana into a small bowl, just as she'd done countless times before. Oliver's favorite. He reached for a piece with chubby fingers, and Max, who'd been lying peacefully under the table, suddenly shot to his feet. The bark was sharp, urgent, different. "Max, no!" Sarah commanded, startled by the intensity in his voice. But Max didn't stop. He jumped, trying to reach the bowl, his front paws scrabbling against Oliver's legs. The toddler laughed, thinking it was a game, but Sarah's heart hammered. She pulled the bowl away, confusion flooding through her. "Bad dog! Down!" Max retreated, but his eyes never left the banana. His body remained tense, coiled, ready to spring again. Sarah dismissed it as a fluke. Maybe Max had decided he wanted human food. Maybe he was getting territorial as he aged. She put the bowl on the counter and gave Oliver crackers instead. Max settled immediately, returning to his spot under the table as if nothing had happened. But it happened again the next day, and the day after that. Every single time Sarah gave Oliver bananas, Max transformed. The gentle dog who'd let Oliver pull his ears and climb on his back became a snarling, aggressive animal fixated on one thing: getting that fruit away from her son. Only bananas. Apples were fine. Strawberries, no problem. But the moment a banana appeared in Oliver's vicinity, Max became unrecognizable. "I don't know what to do," Sarah told her husband David that Friday night, her voice cracked with exhaustion and fear. "He's never been like this. Never. But I can't have an aggressive dog around Oliver. What if he bites him?" David's jaw tightened. Maybe it's time to consider other options. The words hung between them like a death sentence. Other options meant rehoming. It meant giving up Max, admitting failure, breaking the family apart. Sarah felt tears burning behind her eyes. "He's been with us through everything," she whispered. "And Oliver is our son," David said quietly. "We can't take chances." That weekend, Sarah called a dog trainer, then a behavioral specialist. Both asked questions about triggers, environment, changes in routine. When she explained it only happened with bananas, they seemed skeptical, suggested it might be resource guarding, recommended strict boundaries and possibly medication. But nothing changed. The following Tuesday, Sarah made a decision that felt like betrayal. She'd contacted a rescue organization, explained the situation, started the process. They'd take Max within the week. She couldn't risk her child's safety, no matter how much it destroyed her. That afternoon, she gave Oliver his snack in the living room, banana slices in his favorite blue bowl. She'd kept Max outside, unable to watch the transformation again, unable to see the dog she loved become something she feared. Through the glass door, Max went wild. He barked frantically, threw his body against the door, scratched at the frame with desperate intensity. Oliver giggled, reaching for a banana slice, bringing it to his mouth. "Stop it!" Sarah screamed at Max, her composure finally shattering. "Just stop!" But Max didn't stop. He barked louder, more urgently, his whole body vibrating with frantic energy. And then Oliver's face changed. The toddler dropped the banana slice. His small hand went to his mouth. His eyes widened, confused, uncomfortable. "Mama," he said, his voice strange. "Mouth funny." Sarah's frustration evaporated, replaced by cold attention. What, baby? What's wrong? Itchy, Oliver said, rubbing his lips. Mouth itchy. Time seemed to freeze. Sarah looked at her son, then at Max, still throwing himself against the door, then back at Oliver, who was scratching at his mouth with increasing agitation. Something no one noticed at the time clicked into place. Every time. Every single time with bananas. Not aggression. Not territorialism. Warning. Sarah's hands trembled as she pulled Oliver from his seat, examining his mouth. His lips looked slightly swollen. His tongue, when he stuck it out, seemed irritated. Her medical knowledge, limited as it was, screamed one word: allergy. David! Her voice came out as a strangled cry. David, something's wrong. She let Max inside. The dog immediately rushed to Oliver, sniffing him intensely, whining, pushing his nose against the toddler's face. Not attacking, checking. David appeared from his home office, took one look at Oliver's face, and his own went pale. Is he having a reaction? I don't know. Maybe. His mouth? He says it's itchy. Look at his lips. They called the pediatrician immediately. The nurse, hearing the symptoms, told them to come in right away, to bring Benadryl just in case, to watch for breathing difficulties. The drive to the clinic felt endless. Oliver seemed okay, just uncomfortable, rubbing his mouth and whimpering. Max, whom Sarah had instinctively brought along, sat in the back seat, beside the toddler's car seat, vigilant and calm now, his job done. Dr. Peterson examined Oliver thoroughly, asked detailed questions about when the symptoms appeared, what he'd been eating, how long it lasted. When Sarah mentioned the bananas, mentioned Max's behavior, the doctor's eyebrows rose. How long has this been happening? About 2 weeks. The itchy mouth, I don't know. Oliver's vocabulary is still developing. He might not have had the words to tell me before. But Max's behavior, exactly 2 weeks. Dr. Peterson nodded slowly. I want to refer you to an allergist. What you're describing sounds like oral allergy syndrome. It's a cross-reactivity between certain fruits and environmental allergens, usually developed suddenly in young children. The proteins in bananas can trigger an immune response, cause histamine release, make the mouth and throat itch or swell. Sarah's chest collapsed. Is it dangerous? It can be. Most cases are mild, just uncomfortable, but some children progress to more severe reactions. The fact that your dog was reacting suggests he was smelling something, likely the histamine response in your son's saliva. Dogs have remarkably sensitive noses for chemical changes in the body. He was trying to protect him, Sarah whispered, the realization hitting like a physical blow. All this time, I thought he was being aggressive. We were going to... She couldn't finish. The guilt was overwhelming. The allergist confirmed it 3 days later. Oliver had developed a significant oral allergy syndrome, primarily to bananas, but also showing sensitivity to several other fruits. The doctor explained that what felt like an itchy mouth to Oliver was actually his body's alarm system, that continued exposure could worsen the reaction, that in some cases it could progress to anaphylaxis. You're lucky, the allergist said, glancing at Max, who'd been allowed into the examination room. Most parents don't catch this until a child has a severe reaction. The early symptoms are subtle, easy to miss. If your dog hadn't alerted you, you might not have made the connection for months, maybe longer. If it hadn't been for Max, Sarah thought, feeling sick. If she'd rehomed him, if she'd kept giving Oliver bananas, if she'd ignored the warnings written in every bark, every lunge, every desperate attempt to protect a child who couldn't articulate his own distress. That evening, Sarah sat on the floor of the living room. Oliver was in bed, sleeping peacefully, his new EpiPen prescription on the counter, his diet now carefully monitored. Max lay a few feet away, watching her with those intelligent eyes. Come here, boy, she whispered. Max approached cautiously, as if uncertain of his welcome. Sarah pulled him close, burying her face in his wiry fur, feeling the steady beat of his heart against her chest. I'm so sorry, she said, her voice breaking. You were trying to save him, and I thought God, Max, I almost gave you away. I didn't understand. I didn't listen. Max licked her face, patient and forgiving in the way only dogs can be. David found them there an hour later, woman and dog curled together in the fading light. He sat down beside them, one hand on Sarah's shoulder, one on Max's head. The rescue called, he said quietly. I told them we wouldn't be needing their services. I told them our dog is a hero. From that day forward, Max wore his role with quiet dignity. Sarah watched him with new eyes, saw how he monitored Oliver during meals, how he stayed close when new foods were introduced, how his body language shifted at the slightest sign of distress. She'd been so focused on her own interpretation of his behavior that she'd been blind to what was right in front of her. A guardian doing exactly what guardians do. The story spread through their neighborhood, their family, their social circles. The dog everyone had told Sarah to get rid of, the aggressive animal she'd feared, became the miracle they couldn't stop talking about. But Sarah knew it wasn't a miracle. It was instinct, loyalty, and love expressed in the only language Max had. Sometimes the line between life and loss is guarded not by our understanding, but by the ancient wisdom of creatures who sense what we cannot see. We build our worlds on logic and reason, trusting only what we can measure and explain. But danger doesn't always announce itself in ways we recognize. Sometimes it hides in the ordinary, in a toddler's favorite snack, in symptoms too subtle for words. And sometimes salvation comes with fur and four legs, speaking in barks we're too proud to translate, protecting us from threats we're too blind to acknowledge. What we fear often guards us from what we cannot see, if only we're humble enough to listen. If this story opened your eyes to the extraordinary bonds that exist beyond human understanding, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us how little we truly know. Share it with friends and family, especially those with children and pets, because sometimes the most important warnings come from those who cannot speak our language, but love us enough to try.